if you're watching, you can see me doing this. It's 4th down and 9.
You are Locked On Trojans, your daily podcast on the USC Trojans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Fight on, everyone. I'm your host, Mark Culkin, and thank you for making Locked On USC your first listen every day. Whether you're watching the show on YouTube, wherever you're downloading your podcast, the show is always free, and I always appreciate your support. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. All right, it's 4th down and 9. The season hangs in the balance, and you need to keep the drive alive. Trojan fans, you know exactly the play I'm describing right now. If you are watching on YouTube, you saw me give the audible calls to my wide receivers. Who is Miller Moss going to go to this year on 4th down and 9? Moss doesn't have the Heisman experience in his back pocket that Matt Leinart had to lean on, but he does have a wide receiver wearing number 8, as well as wide receivers wearing jersey numbers 1, 2, 6, 10. There's a whole bunch of them. But we know who USC's top 4 receivers are, or considered their top 4 guys. You've got Jacoby Lane, you've got Zachariah Branch, Deuce Robinson, Makai Lemon. There's going to be times throughout the season where Miller or Jayden Maiava, they have to move the sticks. Bottom line, keep the drive going. But who's going to be Miller's go-to guy, assuming he's QB1, and he is QB1 at the moment? If you line up all 4 wide receivers, okay, the defense, whoever is playing defense, they've got to stay true. No one's getting double teamed. They might cheat. They might shade to one person, but you got to stay true. One-on-one coverage. What made that 2005 team so much fun to watch on offense was the different ways that USC was able to strike at you. You know, you had Dwayne Jarrett, number 8, Lendale White, Reggie Bush. Those were the headliners. You had the tight ends. You had Dominique Byrd. You had Fred Davis. Dwayne Jarrett, Steve Smith were Matt Leinart's top wide receiver targets that season. I think everyone would agree with that. I'm projecting, however, I think Miller Moss, Jayden Maiava, they probably have a much better and deeper group of wide receivers. I love how J.D. Piquel from On3 described Zachariah Branch. He put him as his member of his all-joystick team. Meaning, he's the guy on your video game that is nearly unstoppable. So for you guys who like to play the video games, EA Sports, all that stuff, I'm not a video game guy. Make sure you're putting Zachariah Branch on your all-joystick team. But is that your go-to guy when you have to have a first down? Is Makai Lemon, is he the guy? He might be the high-volume guy on this year's roster. When I mean high volume, Makai might end up having the most receptions at the end of the year. But when you think of 4th down and 9, you think of Dwayne Jarrett on the outside using his size. And USC actually has 2 guys like that. I mean, Deuce Robinson is a horse. He is a thoroughbred. That touchdown that he had in the Holiday Bowl, did you happen to notice how much separation he had on the defensive back? That was down the middle of the field. I don't know, maybe the safety was lost. Maybe it was the safety guarding him. But Deuce was put in space between the defender and himself. The closer he got to the goal line, that space got longer and wider. Deuce walked in. So it's not just big and strong. Deuce is also really, 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 really fast for a guy that size. It's not supposed to happen like that. My everyday listeners and watchers, they know who my guy is. Jacoby Lane is going to be the go-to guy. He is going to be Mr. 4th and 9. Mr. Got to move the sticks. Where's Jacoby Lane? I think I picked him because of it's the way he carries himself, his body language. his demonstrative passion for the game. Speaking about passion, make sure you stick around for the entire show. Friday's Rant, all about passion. Anyways, back to this first segment here. It's hard for me to explain, but I love the way Jacoby attacks the ball when it's in the air after a first down or a touchdown. He just lets everybody know, everyone who's in the stadium, you're going to know what happened. Look, if USC is backed up near its own goal line, or if they're near midfield, or if they're in the La Victoria red zone, Jacoby's going to be that 4th and 9 guy. It doesn't matter what the situation is. I'm picking him. Zachariah Branch, he's going to be the highlight guy. I think everybody agrees. Put the ball gets in his hands, he can score a touchdown on any given play. But that doesn't necessarily mean he's your go-to guy. There is a difference. Again, I think Mekhi Lemon is going to have the most catches among the group of wide receivers. Deuce Robinson is going to be that guy that kind of sets everything up and just frustrates defenders because no one can guard somebody with his size and his speed. It's just, he is a physical mismatch for any cornerback, any safety. Here's my prediction. I think you understand where I'm going with 4th and 9. If I'm Miller Moss, I'm making that audible signal. Probably have to change it this year, but I'm looking for Jacoby Lane. I will go this far. You heard it on an earlier episode of Locked on USC this week, where USC's wide receiver group was just completely disrespected. They weren't even considered one of the top 10 groups in the country. We know that is a mistake. We know that list was put together without really thinking it through. I'm going to take it a step further. By the end of the season, USC's first campaign in the big conference, I think USC's top 4 guys all make all-conference selection. Not first team, but Deuce and Jacoby and Mekhi and Zachariah. Each one of them will end up on the first team, second team. I don't know, do they third team and honorable mention? Either way, you're gonna see their names in print at the end of the season, making all big conference selection. Do you agree? Do you disagree? I think USC and Ohio State's going to dominate, at least with the wide receiver group. You know how I feel. I think Ohio State's got the guys to, they can sit there at number 1. Is Oregon number 2? No way in hell. And there's no way in hell Colorado's got a better group at number 10 than USC. Anyways, I digress. We're talking about 4th and 9. USC's got a couple of guys. But when I got to go get it, I'm throwing it to Jacoby. It's something about that dude. Not saying the other guys don't have it as well, but Jacoby lets you know that he has it. And I like that type of player. Plays with a lot of passion. Again, the show's going to be about that. So stick around. With last-minute killer deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their best price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. You can see the view from your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. And those all-in prices show you your total right up front. That way, you know you're getting a great deal before you check out, and you can buy your tickets in seconds. It'll take you 2 taps and you're done. I'm asking you, Trojan fans, have you gotten your tickets yet for the game against LSU in Las Vegas? You better. Don't wait. It's going to sell out. But if you haven't, Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the start of the event. They got tickets waiting for you. And even an hour after the starts, it's the place to find last-minute seats. And the Game Time guarantee means you'll always get the best price. And if you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app. Create an account and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKED like David, ON like Nancy for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. You're watching Fox Sports, ESPN on your TV all day. You got to turn down the volume because somebody's yelling at you. Make the switch to Locked On Sports Today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't miss analysis, opinions, news, and it's streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. I hope there's a huge bulletin board, a whiteboard, chalkboard, whatever color it is, whatever. A video screen the size of the one they have inside the Annenberg Communications Center. Have you ever been on USC's campus? Annenberg is where it's where everybody goes to learn about communications, journalism. You walk in, the first thing you see is this giant video board. Huge. Anyways, with all this stuff that's being said about USC's roster, I hope someone's keeping track of all the quotes. And if I said something that provides some extra motivation, good. Whatever I may have said, I said it with love. I don't think those way too early lists and all the stuff that's being written about USC, I don't think it's being done to add as extra motivation. I think people think, you know what? They're down on USC this year. Fine. Keep the receipts, USC. So I'm not sure how the latest list that came out. Apparently, USC only has one of the top 100 college football players in college football. I don't know how they're going to do it this year. Not with only one of them. On 3, they released a list of the top 100 players in college football, and only Bear Alexander made the list. He checks in at number 79 last season. Quarterback Caleb Williams, obviously he was number 1. Safety Kalen Bullock, he was number 50. Justin Diedick, number 60. Oh, remember Jonah Monheim? Played left tackle for USC last year. He checked in at number 92. And wide receiver Dorian Singer, 97. Somebody missed on that list. Excuse me. How do you not have a freshman All-American and Jet Award winner Zachariah Branch not in the top 100? Hello? I dare any one of my everydayers, including fans of other teams, I challenge you. Name a coach or a program that would not consider Zachariah as one of the top 100 players in the country and would not want him on their team. And the notion is absurd. Jonah Monheim, how does he not make the cut? Last year, he was number 92, and now he's not even on the list. Look, I understand that there are probably better O-line guys at their respective positions. However, how many of them can play all 5 spots on the offensive line? Yeah, maybe Jonah Monheim. Anybody else? Bueller? And let me ask you this question. Why is LSU's Garrett Nussmeier, quarterback, considered the 82nd best player in college football? Got, what, 1 start under his belt? Miller Moss, he's thrown 92 passes in his college career. But you got Garrett Nussmeier at 82. He's appeared in 18 games. Let's compare stats. Moss, 71.7% of his passes complete. A really good percentage. Nussmeier, 58.9%. That's also good, but it's not 71.7%. Oh, let's compare yards per throw. Garrett, 7.9 yards. Moss, 9.9 yards. If football's a game of inches, I'll take 2 yards extra every single time. Whatever. I guess it's a good thing that USC and LSU play against each other in 107 days. If you're making a Locked On USC your first listen today, part of the Locked On Network, you should be. The way the SEC honk, the one who put this list together, he's going to have to do a mea culpa after game 1. The guy who put together this list, his name is Clark Brooks. And the list, if you look at the list, you can go check it out when you're done watching this episode of Locked On USC. You'll notice it looks and smells like the SEC. I mean, if it smells like a corn dog, it's probably a corn dog. Actually, this guy is a really big Kentucky Wildcats honk. So, again, if you look at it, it's just up and down the list. It's all SEC. And again, I'm just making some comparisons here. I just don't understand how Jonah Monheim is not on the list when last year was number 92, and now he's taking on the 5th position on the offensive line. And he's not one of the top 100 college football players? Not even 100? Someone tell me what am I missing? Hello? I don't get it. And look, I understand that USC's wide receivers are young. They're sophomores. But again, Deuce Robinson, 5-star recruit, kind of flashed. Zachariah Branch, I went over that already. How was he not considered one of the top 100 players in college football? I don't know. Mekhi Lemon, Jacoby Lane, yeah, they're not top 100 players, but that's USC's wide receiver group. Anybody else? Who am I missing? Who else on USC's roster should probably make the argument for themselves? It's just weird. I made the argument for a couple. I think Miller Moss probably deserves the same type of consideration that you're giving to LSU's quarterback. Obviously, Zachariah. Obviously, Jonah Monheim. That makes no sense. Those guys should be joining Bear Alexander. Is there anybody else on the defensive side of the ball thinking about it? No. Not right now. I mean, Easton Mascarenas Arnold was a Pac-12 all-conference selection. Does that mean he's one of the top 100 players in college football? Maybe. Like I said, I hope there's a big, giant whiteboard or bulletin board. Someone's just pinning receipts. Remember what so-and-so said? Remember what Mark said from Locked On USC? Remember what Mark wrote about over there on wearesc.com? Again, all of my motivation comes from love. I don't think what's being said about USC nationally is about motivating them, wanting to see USC be good. They're saying these things because they want to be proven correct. They want to say, see, I said it first. USC wasn't good. I hope these same people who are saying all this stuff are ready to step up, say, I apologize, I was wrong, and I'll never do that again. It's okay to be passionate. It's okay to have an opinion, but sometimes the opinion's got to make sense. I'm going to tell you what makes sense. I know a lot of you think I'm anti-Lincoln Riley because I'm always taking digs. If you notice, today I got a Friday Rant coming up. It's all about competitive passion. Myself, Coach Riley, we're actually very similar, and I'll explain in the next segment. That's coming up next. It's winner take all time in the NBA and NHL, and FanDuel's giving you a shot to bring home a big win of your own. Right now, new customers, you're going to get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 to bet on the point spreads, the money lines, the player prop bets, and more. Visit FanDuel.com/locked-on and make every playoff shot count. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. If you want to be good at what you do, at anything in life, you've got to care about it. You have to have that. You have to have that competitive drive. You really do. You have to be able to appreciate the losses as much as the wins. You need to have a passion for what you do. You got to care. Now, look, I get the impression that some of you have out there. I've said it. I kind of prefaced it leading into this segment. Some of you think I'm not a fan of Coach Riley. Let me tell you, I'll say it again, you are wrong. However, I am going to hold him accountable for what he says and how the team performs. Just like you hold me accountable for what I say. Look, I wish I had the same type of compensation package as Lincoln Riley. Maybe one day. But that's part of the package when you're making $10 million a year, allegedly. I know he's somewhere in that neighborhood. So, yes, Lincoln Riley is open to criticism. I will never criticize his passion and how much he cares about his players in USC. I've listened to him speak. I know that he loves what he does. And I know he has a passion for it too. It's not just what he's said publicly. It's also what I've learned from him that wasn't said publicly, whether it was eating lunch together during a Pac-12 Media Day, or in Dallas for the Cotton Bowl, or that roundtable discussion after season 1, the one where he decided to keep Alex Grinch around for an extra year. One thing for sure, Lincoln Riley cares, and his players can feel it. This is where I'm going to kind of segue into where he and I are very similar. Whether it's in every coach's goal, #1 goal is to make sure that they're, and I'm going to use finger quotes, their kids are ready to take the next step in their lives, whether it's in the sport they love or just life in general. I think Coach Riley and I have very similar outlooks because I love what I do. I care a lot. I'm a very emotional, very passionate person. It's what makes us both so competitive. I'm going to tell you, I've told my story before, but I'm going to tell it again. I used to coach high school basketball. So look, I'm probably going to get a little emotional here. Don't laugh. Just understand where it's coming from. It's coming from the heart. I took over when I started coaching high school basketball. I took over the freshman team. They were 0-3. Yeah, the head varsity coach said, "Mark, go fix that." He saw what I did during the summer league and what I was able to offer to the varsity team during practice. He said, "Mark, you willing to take on a challenge?" So yeah. This was my very first head coaching experience at any level. Doesn't matter though. Whatever sport I played, I was lucky to have coaches who cared. Some let me know more than others, but that's why I have that competitive spirit that I have. They didn't let me quit. They wouldn't let me. Two coaches who had a huge influence on the way I coached. Jim Valvano, North Carolina State, and it was his "Don't give up" speech. Don't give up. Don't ever give up. I made my team watch that speech. The other one, Bobby Knight. Yeah, two different guys, both very passionate. Both knew how to get the most out of their players and how to win. So when I took over the freshman team, these guys, they didn't care. They had no idea what discipline what discipline was all about, what organization was. I walked into the gym and they're just, everyone's spread out. They're just shooting the basketball, all the different backboards, rims that were up. I said, everyone, put the ball back on the rack. Every single one of them. I told one of the guys, go put them in the closet. All of a sudden, everybody's wide-eyed. Look at me. Oh, shoot. What's going on now? Hey, guys, I'm your new head coach. They'd see me helping out with varsity, but they were like, oh, okay, here we go. So practice was 2.5 hours. For the first 45 minutes to an hour, they never saw the basketball. It was all defensive line position drills, shuffles, moving your feet, get into defensive position, hands up, bend your knees, start shuffling. And when they weren't doing that, they were running baseline to baseline wind sprints. It was all about conditioning. If anything, my team wasn't going to quit. My team was going to play to the very end. My team was going to care. So my Bobby Knight style, a lot of yelling, very loud. My players also knew how much I loved it. The arm was always around the shoulder at the end of practice. You have to learn, sometimes that competitive spirit can be taught. You get knocked down sometimes. I've been knocked down a lot in my life, playing sports, whatever. I got staggered one time at practice. I had a 14-year-old, 7-footer. His name was Troy. I said, Troy, man, if you just cared a little bit, went to class, gave some effort here in practice, you've got a college scholarship waiting for you. And I was always after him. Finally, one day at practice, he says, Coach, why do you care so much? My parents don't. Yeah. I was staggered. How do you respond to that? Right here. It hurt. It hit. So I don't know what happened with Troy after I was done coaching him. What I do know is that because of the things that I instilled, some of the passion I instilled. By the way, they started the season 0-3. We finished in the championship game. We lost that game. I took full responsibility. Got 2 technicals in that game. Like I said, I have a mouth like Bobby Knight. The referee heard it. Anyways, sitting at home, game's over. We had lost by 3 points. I got the videotape in the VCR, I'm watching it, thinking, what could we have done differently? 10 o'clock at night, phone rings. One of my role players, Ryan, said, Coach, needed to give you a call. We knew how hard you took the loss. It wasn't your fault. I was elected to call you and let you know that we would just want to say thank you for everything you did and, showing us how to be a team, yada, yada, yada. Personally, I want to say thank you because I think I'm ready to take that next step in life. Whoa. I just had an impact on someone's life. And that's what Coach Riley's trying to do. So if you have passion, it can be felt. Your players will feel it. And I try and convey that same type of passion. So it's not really a rant today. It's more about when you hear me talking, hear the passion, hear the competitive spirit. Know that it's not hating. It's because I love what I do and I love this USC team and I just want the best for them. So as I wipe those away, yeah, it's a big thing. Having that competitive spirit, having that passion. And I know Coach Riley and his coaching staff, that's what they want to see from their players. I think he's the right guy. I think he's got the right staff now to make that happen. We'll see. Let me know what you think about this show. Hit me up in the comments section. I apologize for the emotion, for the passion. I didn't even tell you the whole story. There's so much more. But again, knowing that if you teach your players about discipline and doing things the right way, you might not reach all of them, but you will reach some of them. That was the greatest phone call I ever got in my life. That's all I can say. I don't have kids, but to those of you who do, you know when you've made an impact on their life. All right. I hope I'm making an impact on your lives. Keep watching the show. Keep watching Locked On USC. I'll be back next week with another 5 episodes. So until then, everyone, you know what to do.